Hi, Diamonds. Welcome back to the channel. It's me, Nisi, and I'm here with a special guest today, and he is my handsome hubby. So he's here today to help me discuss with you all practical ways to find your forever love. So this episode is going to be titled No
No
More
more
Situationships.
situationships.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So, hubby, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Hello, L Diamonds out there.
Diamonds. So, as you know, the diamonds are being revealed in this season by God. Also, it's time to level up. So, God has great things in store for the diamonds. So, we thought, of course, why not share how to get out of those situationships and just to find their forever love. So, we're going to go ahead and start off with some questions. So, the first one, hubby, I would like for you to answer. How did we meet? And when did you know that I was the one that you wanted to marry?
All right. Well, first off, we met back in high school. It was my freshman year, way back in 2004. But we met at band camp, and she was my section leader, believe it or not. And believe it or not,
Yes, the best trumpet player ever.
but yeah, so when we got into the marching band and met at practice, we built this relationship, friendship wise at first. Always, joked with each other, laughed with each other. As that relationship continued to grow, we tended to like one another. We both kind of revealed that later on during the year. Um, After that point, we kind of dated on and off during our high school years. Eventually, she went to college, and out because she was 1 year ahead of me. Uh, went off to college, and honestly, we ended up going to the same college, which was Fort Valley State University. Go
Go
Wildcats!
Wildcats.
Um, After that, during our college career, we would still be in contact and close with one another. And just kind of build our relationship even through the band in college. So we were both in the band in college as well. And then after that, after she graduated, stayed in contact with her even after our college career. And when I decided to hit her up one day just to see how she was doing, how was life treating her, we decided to meet up in the park one day just to kind of catch up on each other with life and see where we are with our careers and goals, the aspirations that we had, and just kind of feel each other out for that step to the next level. After that, it was kind of a match made in heaven. A lot of people say that you do marry your high school sweetheart, and she's sitting right here next to me. So, yeah, this.
Love it. So I like that you mentioned the friendship part. So it's important that people know you should start off as friends first. A lot of times we want to jump into those relationships because we're so ready to have our kingdom spouse, our partner, but God's timing is the best timing. Mm-hmm. And so, like you mentioned, that friendship, it kind of flourished and it moved forward into something greater. One thing that the diamonds, I'll go ahead and tell you, we used to write notes. So, in high school, you write notes with each other, back and forth, passing them in the hallway, things like that. And I remember towards the end, like you said, because we were like on and off, but towards the end before I graduated, I started writing future hubby or future husband. Mm-hmm. Now, how did I know? That's the Holy Spirit. And it just amazes me how later on in life, I know he gave the story already, that we came back together in God's time. Because it's important to know also, God is working on you and he's working on your spouse. So you think that you're ready, and sometimes you are, but maybe they're not ready yet. And you want them to be the person that God has intended them to be for you, so that they can meet all of your needs and you can meet all of their needs. And that you're not just dependent on each other, but then you both are dependent on God.
Absolutely.
But that was really good. So how about we tell the people, like, how do you know, like, you're in a situationship versus a real relationship?
Well, there's a lot of key points to determine whether you're in a situationship. One of the first points is, lack of clarity. You guys are not sure with each other where you are in your relationship. There's a lot of inconsistent communication. So neither party wants to effectively say where we are or even ask the question. You just kind of moving with the flow casually. Um, Versus a real relationship, the communication is clear. You guys both have precise intentions of where you want to be and if you want to move to the next step. You are constantly communicating that with each other. You want to try to avoid situationships at all costs because it really doesn't lead to a positive outcome.
No.
If you're all about that one night stand, then okay, that's fine. But for those who are looking for true love and a true relationship, it's best to be very clear on your communication when you are moving forward to that next step with your future spouse.
Yeah, I totally agree. And something to piggyback on what you said, it's not only just, okay, you're in the situation with someone and you're trying to figure out where you're going, but you shouldn't have to guess. I think that's a really good point that you made. You don't want to have to guess when someone is serious about you and when they really want to move forward. If it's months down the road and you still don't know where you stand with this person, then it's time to move on because you're in a situationship. There is something that you are offering this person that they enjoy, but not enough to commit to you. And God loves you too much to be in any type of situationships. And as my husband stated, yeah, people do one night stands, all of that type of stuff, but that's not God's way. And so, you want to walk that narrow path, even though it's hard, but it leads you to happiness, to joy, and everything that God has for you. And then another good point that I want to make is sometimes there's the spark. And the spark, I think of it as like chemistry, right? Mm-hmm. So you have this chemistry, you're just falling for this person because, oh, they're a great kisser or whatever it is. But that is just for a moment. When you become a spouse, there is so many other factors that you have to consider. And so you want to have real compatibility. So for example, the spark and the chemistry might be there, but do they believe in God? Because if they do not believe in God and you do, where is the relationship going to go long term? If children get involved, what are you going to teach them? You're teaching them about God. They're atheists or whatever they are. God does not want you to be in any type of situationship, to be confused, because when you are with the right person, confusion does not exist.
Amen.
So let's go to the next part. So can you truly love someone if you don't fully love yourself?
So that is a very loaded question. It's a loaded question because the short answer is yes. I do feel like you are capable of loving someone without fully loving yourself first. There is no strict guideline to saying I have to just be in full love with myself to have full love for your spouse. And an example of that could be, everyone identifies with their own personal flaws. So, you may look in the mirror every day and say, oh, I just despise this blemish on my face, or I don't like the way that, I look, weight-wise, as simple as that. I know there are a lot of women out there who may say, I love my teddy bear. They love a man who is fully, grown out, have the weight on them and everything because it's a nice pleasure to cuddle up with them at night. However, the man may look in the mirror and say, I need to lose this weight. I need to, get toned, be in better shape for myself. I'm not in love with the way that I look. So it's just, that's an example of saying, hey, I don't love myself, but my spouse may love me the way that I am.
Well, I like your perspective. And I'm actually going to come from a different point. I do believe that you need to love yourself first because there's so much that you have to give, even when you are dating and getting to know someone. You have to give of yourself, but it has to come from a place where you are mentally healed. Like you are psychologically ready. Because if you're having battles with yourself, and I like the example you gave, like those are the little things. Oh, I don't like this pimple on my face. Everybody has the flaws, of course, that they would like to be kind of like taken away. Just wipe those things away and everything's all better. However, I think when it goes deeper into love, like how God loves us, it should be that agape love, just something flowing out of you. So no matter what anyone says, no matter what anyone does, you love yourself enough that you will not settle for anything less than what you deserve. And that only comes from a place when you know that you love yourself. Everything about you. So whatever you have to offer, you may be someone that you like to joke a lot, but someone else doesn't appreciate that. Well, you don't have to change yourself. That's just not your partner. And so that's what I'm saying. I would come from the perspective of, yes, you want to love yourself. Yes, you want to start from a place of being healed. You want to start from a place of loving and having joy, happiness, having your connection with God. So when it's time to give that same love to someone else, you are flowing from a cup that is overflowing. You are giving and giving from this heart because you are already like, okay, Lord, I'm ready to give what you have given to me. So I would go a little deeper and get into the cross and all of that stuff, how Jesus was on the cross and the love flows out. But we'll go ahead and stop right there because I do really like the perspective that you gave, and I didn't think of it that way. But I personally would like to say, yes, you want to give from a place where you love yourself before you begin loving others.
So I do want to respond to your take on loving yourself, and I do agree with you as well. Just going back to the aspect of fully loving yourself. Everybody may not fully be in love with themselves in order to love someone else. Not saying that someone is incapable of fully loving themselves, but realistically, everyone always sees the flaws in themselves.
Yeah.
And, we always question ourselves, even if we get validation from our spouse or partner, do I look good in this? Does my hair look good? How does my outfit look good today? And there may be some times where your spouse does give you validation and you're still like, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, that's not up to you. Your spouse loves you truly who you are, regardless of what you're wearing, how you're wearing it today. That's a situation where you may not fully be in love with who you are right now or where you are right now. But, it's just another example of saying that I believe someone can fully love you without you necessarily being fully in love with yourself.
Okay, well, I really love that perspective, Ben. So, speaking of love and loving yourself, loving others, so let's say someone, the Diamonds, they're on the date, they're ready to go, and they've been dating this person for a while. But when is a good time to talk about those relationship goals?
Well, honestly, I would say talk about your relationship goals towards the beginning. And what do goals look like specifically for you? Are you someone who wants to get it kicking off with what does your career look, or what does your path look like 5 years down the road? Or do you want to start a family? Those are things that I feel are very important with understanding about your potential spouse in the beginning stages, not 2 or 3 months down the road.
I would also piggyback on what you said, and it is good to do it early stages, but so some people are more serious and they're ready to talk about things right away because they've been waiting. So they're like, I am ready to do this. So do you want kids? Do you love God? They want to run through the whole list of things. Like, do you make up your bed in the morning? Do you wash dishes? Like anything and everything. However, I do want to say that when you're starting off, and I did this, so this is how I got this man, but you want to make sure you are enjoying the beginning. So I would say the first 3 dates, 3 to 5, just have fun. I'm not saying that some of those relationship goals can't come up, but they should not be the focal point or the topic of discussion right away. And so this is my opinion. This is what I did to get my hubby. I just had fun. So I want to give him a story of when we first met. We back again, right? So as you mentioned, we both went to college and then we met up later. I think I had just finished a master's degree, and we decided, I think you asked me, but we decided to go to the park and just catch up and get to know each other. So I think physically we were attracted to one another, but it was the aspect of, well, I don't know who he is now because things are different. Now, I will say that, hubby, you did check in with me, and I think that kept things going. Like, periodically, you would just call and say, hey, how have you been? But when we went to the park that day, that really helped us to connect. And we didn't talk anything serious. We were just catching up with, like, oh, how are you doing? How have you been? I'm like, oh, well, I'm doing this with my career now, and I'm doing that. These are my hobbies. These are the things I really enjoy doing. And so I would say, again, the first 3 to 5 dates, just have fun, especially with men, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that they want to see, when they see you women, they want to know that you're fun, you're great to be around, because they probably had a stressful week, stressful day, and so by the time they get to you, they just want to have a good time. You want to make them smile, laugh, so then guess what? They're going to go home, they're going to think about you, they're going to want to call you, and they're going to want to take you out again, because they're going to want that same feeling, like, oh, okay, I had a lot going on, but what is going on with that diamond over there? Like, let me call her again because I had fun at the park. So do you want to go to the movies? So things like that. And I think that's what really helped us. We just had a really good time together. We did the things that we enjoy. Okay.
Yeah. So there's different, like I said, different relationship goals for different people out there. When you're at a certain age and you're looking for that fun that you spoke of, you're more so in the earlier ages of like the 20s, but then there may be some diamonds out there who are in their 30s, their late 30s, who've already had that stage in their career. And, they just want to find someone who is strict and know exactly what they want. That's why I was saying, going back to the early ages, I don't think it's too soon to kind of get a feel for someone 2 or 3 weeks in. If you're going on in your relationship, and of course you guys want to avoid a situationship, 2 or 3 months down the road, by that time I feel like you should know what this person's goals are, aligned to, and what they expect out of the relationship that they're trying to build with you. But I want to say that, it's just catered to whoever, or what age group or range, or where you are in your relationship and where you feel like you want to take that relationship later down the road.
Yeah, and I agree, but I still want to add this too. But everything you said is correct, because everybody's not. They're different age groups. We have diamonds that are 60 years old. We have diamonds that are 30 years old. So we definitely want to encompass everyone all together in what they're thinking. But again, I just still believe that just have fun, just have a conversation, because it's something about when you are conversing with that person, they start to reveal things anyway. They're family oriented. And so you'll start to hear them talk about their family, like, oh, I have this function coming up with my family, and we have this event together, and oh, Mother's Day is coming up, so I have to get this for my mom. They will just begin to open up and talk to you about things. So you'll start to learn who they are in general. But I do agree with you. It's not a problem to talk about those relationship goals. I just don't want the diamonds to get too strict. Don't go in there so stern, because you're not in a relationship yet. You're getting to know one another. So you want to make sure that you keep it fun, keep it light, but then there is a time to get serious. But okay, that's all. So let's think about now, when is it time to walk away when someone will not commit?
Well, that's going back to the last question in regards to, your relationship goals. If you are finding out, months down the road that your goals aren't aligning with the person that you're trying to pursue, I think it's time to, try to walk away from that commitment, because, like I said, it also goes back to your age range and what if you're strict on what you want and it doesn't align with the goals of the person that you're trying to pursue. And when it's time to walk away from someone, don't hesitate. I wouldn't second guess it, because again, you build your relationship with God, and God, you always put God first. He always has your best intentions, and if you speak to him regularly and you're asking him, is this made for me? And he's blatantly telling you, giving you signs, giving you hints, giving you red flags, then I think it's time for you to walk away from that commitment.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like immediately. Okay. Don't walk, run. Okay. Like whenever you realize that they are not committing, because sometimes some people will drag it along and we know, and that's hurtful, that's time wasted. But once you realize and you see the signs, and we're going to give you some signs a little bit later. We're going to share some things with you so you can know the difference. But basically, if it's not working, it's time to go. You'll really thank God that you walked away sooner than later. Because most of the time, God has your person right there ready for you. But when you stay in something, God does not function in mess, okay? He is not a God of confusion. So if you stay in that mess, he's not going to bring your kingdom spouse. You're just going to have to deal with this person until you're ready to walk away. And then God does this thing also, oh my goodness, when he will cause things to happen where you have no choice but to walk away. So that leads me to my next point. So there's 5 love languages, as some of you may already know. So there's physical touch, there's words of affirmation, acts of service, there's what's another one?
Quality time.
Quality time and receiving gifts. Yeah. So we took the test and we found out our top 2. When we took that quiz, I understood what you were showing me. Mm-hmm. Because we have one that's alike, which is quality time. So my top love language is physical touch, and my second one is quality time. However, hubby, yours was
quality time, and then the second one was acts of service.
Okay, so he would do things, and I'm like, okay, well, I want you to like give me a hug. I want to be touched. But he would do things for me, like let's say I'm tired and he'll go ahead and do the laundry. He was still showing me love. He was doing it in a different way. Like, I get it now. God still has that compatibility factor. Mm-hmm. So we have the quality time part. And we love doing things together, like watching movies. We love playing games. Yeah. We've actually calmed down on some of the games lately. But we used to play so many games, you all.
Spades. 2-man spades.
Yes. So we used to do so many things, but that's how we communicate. That's how we spend time with each other and really enjoy each other. Another thing that I've been trying to get us to do is cook a pizza together from scratch. So I'm still working on them, guys, but we're going to get that one done.
Oh, boy.
But, my hubby can really cook. I mean, he is basically a chef.
You're trying to gas me up.
No, he is really good. Like, my best friend came from Trinidad, and he made his oxtails. Oh, my goodness. So good. She even said it. So, yeah.
Oh, well, thank you for that shout out. She's getting there, I'm just kidding. No, she's definitely a good cook. I mean, listen.
Yeah,
trying to get some of that weight off, but it's okay.
Look, I didn't need a lot of seasoning, but married to my husband, I realized throw a little extra in there. You don't have to measure it. It'll still come out good. So I'm learning. Yeah. But okay, going back to the love languages. So can a love language, do you believe that it can save a struggling relationship?
So, well, here's the thing about the love languages. Like, I know that we all have our specific or love language that stands out. But honestly, I think all of them, all 5 of them are important in a relationship and or marriage. Of course, even if your love language isn't something like, or your top love language isn't something like receiving gifts, Who doesn't like to receive gifts?
Right.
Exactly. It may not be your top, but it's something that I think would help commit to a healthy relationship. I'm not saying just that one specifically, but all of them. The physical touch aspect. Like she said, mentioned earlier, when she comes home, have a rough day from work. Just giving her a hug and letting her know everything is okay. That could be something as simple as it could literally change someone's life for that moment. It doesn't even have to be, your spouse. It could be a friend. It could be your parent. It could be a cousin or a sibling, anyone. You just don't just asking someone how is your day going can go a long way.
I totally agree with that. And when I think about it, so I would say yes and no. Definitely yes, like you said, if it's simple. So let's say someone likes receiving gifts, but their
Mm-hmm.
partner just hasn't learned that. People grow up differently. And so maybe they didn't grow up giving gifts or receiving gifts themselves. So they didn't know that would be important to you.
Right.
So your birthday comes around and you didn't get anything, but guess what? They're telling you the words of affirmation. I love you. They're there for you. They have acts of service, but you're like, well, wait, because your top thing is receiving gifts. So that's minor. That's something that you can communicate with your spouse or your partner about, and you can just let them know, like, maybe next time for my birthday, I would really like something, jewelry. It could be a DIY gift, something to let me know, tangible, physical items so that I can feel like appreciated and
Mm-hmm.
loved. Now, on the flip side of that, I think about things more serious. So, money. And we know a lot of relationships do not make it because of the financial aspect. And when you think about money, if they don't have it, then they can't get you a gift. So if your issue with them is deeper because you know that they're not good with money, they're not saving money, they're not paying bills, they're just not being responsible. Well, no love language is going to change that. Again, they can't buy you a gift if they're not a good steward of their money. And so that's a little deeper, that's a little harder to fix. So in that case, I would say, there's no love language. There's nothing you can say that can change that. They have to do the inner work, and God has to work on them to be better stewards of their money.
Yeah, and I will add on and say like another struggling factor could be their relationship with God. If you have two different perspectives, someone may not have a strong relationship with him. And, no amount of, like she said, gifts or physical touch can make up for that spiritual factor when it comes to the man above. I think if you're not on one accord and you're not putting him first, that can be um, a factor down the road that can potentially lead to a struggling relationship, in my opinion. Um, so in that regard, love languages, they do help. Of course, they always help the relationship. But then, like my wife said, there are some aspects that they just don't touch and don't help. And I think that's very important down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. People normally talk about red flags, but instead of us giving you those red flags, we're going to give you some green flags, things that you should look for early on when you're dating someone. So, first thing that we want to share is how do they treat people? If you have someone when you're dating them and they treat people with respect, with kindness, with love, not just random people, but their family members, also they are treating you well, then you know that you overall have a green flag. You have something that you can move forward with because everything looks good. Now, beware of those people who they treat everybody else good, but behind closed doors, they don't treat you good. Again, run, don't walk. Babe, what do you have?
Well, the second one that we have is you both have shared values and relationship goals. So again, it goes back to what we spoke on before about getting to know the person and just kind of see where they're at and what their goals are for your future relationship. If they're not aligned, then obviously there's something wrong there. But those are some of one of the green flags that you just want to look forward to in building your relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And another one would be you can be yourself around them. So I love that I get to be myself around you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like one thing, and the diamonds, you all will find this out as we continue to have more and more videos, but I absolutely love to dance. And my husband, I know he's like, okay, how often is this girl gonna dance? But he accepts me. I can be silly. I can be myself. I can dance all day, and he just allows me to be me. Do you have another one for them?
Yeah, so another one that I would like to share is just to respect their boundaries.
Yeah.
You don't want to pressure your spouse into anything they may not feel comfortable with. Um, so I will share this. So, like for myself, I'm an adventurous, so I like to uh, go outside, and I like to go to theme parks, uh, be outside with nature. So my wife is more so a homebody. She likes just relaxing. So of course, an example, if I'm out in a theme park, I wouldn't pressure her into riding a roller coaster.
Don't like
Yeah, I know
that.
she does. She doesn't like the drop feeling, but I'm not going to sit there. I respect her boundaries in that aspect. I'm not going to pressure her into doing something that she doesn't feel comfortable with, and that's inside the marriage as well. You don't want to push that button and try to force them to do something that's outside of their comfort. Um, that's not a good sign for you or them in the future. So um, just be
Yeah.
respectful of those boundaries. That's one of the green flags.
Sorry, hubby.
There you
Yes,
go.
absolutely. So I would also like to add to that because I think about when you are starting to date someone, I think it's important, like you said, those boundaries that they respect your pace,
Mm-hmm.
right? Everybody has their pace. Some people are more ready to do certain things in the relationship versus others. And if you communicate that and say, hey, I'm not ready for this in the relationship yet, they should respect that and be able to kind of let you go at your own pace. I would also like to add communication is key. So if they are not interested in asking you questions and things like that, they should be. Also, when you ask them a question, they should be honest and provide honest answers. So you want to make sure that if they say that they're going to do something, like for example, hey, I'm going to come over and take you out on a date. Let's say it's a Tuesday night after work, and they know that you're going to start getting ready and things like that. But let's say something comes up. They respect you enough to say, bae, don't start getting ready. I do apologize. This came up. So how about I take you out on Saturday? I really want to spend time with you. But just that clear communication, not leaving you at home dressed and making you feel like, this person doesn't respect your time and that they left you hanging. So you just want to have that clear communication. This goes back to the relationship goals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's clearly communicate about what we want from one another because it's a give and take. You don't just receive, but you also give in a relationship. Do you have another one, Ben?
I do. I have one more, and that's consistency. Consistency goes a long way, especially with the communication piece, as my wife just elaborated on. You want to have clear communication on a consistent basis, as well as making sure your actions meet your words. They're always aligned with your words. If you dated each other in the beginning, you should still be dating each other now in the future. Make sure that you always date each other. We date each other at least once a month, and that's where it could be on the inside or it could be outside taking each other somewhere. But we make sure that that spark is always there, and on a consistent basis, because you never want to lose that. Because once that's lost, then God knows where that may end up. But just make sure that you are staying consistent with what you were saying, as well as your actions to lead to that healthy relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have one final one that I would like to share with the diamonds.
Mm-hmm.
You should find someone who is thoughtful. And if this person is thoughtful, I'll give you an example. It's this simple. They know your favorite meal. And they're going to actually want to cook that favorite meal for you sometimes. And they may even just surprise you with it. Or maybe they know that you have a liking for donuts. So if they know this and sometimes they surprise you, it's the little things that count. They surprise you with a dozen donuts. I'm laughing because hubby would literally bring a dozen and I'm like, how am I going to eat all of these? And then somehow.
I help her out sometimes, so it's,
Yeah. So, just being thoughtful, thinking about those things that are important to you. If you've just graduated from college, whatever, high school, whatever it is, being there for you to celebrate you, showing up, having a gift, celebrating with you, going out to dinner. We have a graduation coming up soon. So that's a way to, show love, show up for that person. And we're not graduating.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, we're done with school. But it's just a way to show someone that you love them when you show up for them and when you're consistent and when you provide clear communication. So we hope that all of these green flags give you a starting point to realize, like, hey, how is this dating situation going? Let me get out before I'm in a situationship. Or this is looking really good. I've heard from God and this is my kingdom spouse. So you know that you can move forward. But I do want to end by saying at the end of the day, always look to God. Pray about everything. Even when you meet someone and you're trying to figure out where to go in the relationship, where to go, just even in friendships, whatever it is, just pray about it first. The Lord said, be anxious for nothing, but in everything, pray. So I want you all to pray when you're dating and let the Lord show you the right one for you. Hubby, thank you so much for being here.
Of course, it was my pleasure. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yes, you have so many good wisdom nuggets to share with the people. So this was really good. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, bye.